Hello. We are in week 41 of 52 weeks of storytelling. That means we've been telling stories for 40 weeks. That's ridiculously insane. If you haven't yet checked out last week's video or any of the other videos, go check them out. They're super awesome, if I do say so myself. So, first, I want to tell you what 52 weeks of storytelling is. It is my way of helping you or someone you love or someone you work with or care for tell one page of their story every single week. Legit every single week for a whole year. So here we are. It's week 41. We are actually going to be talking about New Year's resolutions. It might feel a little out of place, but this is just when we're doing it. So if you're following along in the journal, which you can grab on Etsy as a PDF printable or as a printed journal on Amazon, you will find a page in there for your New Year's resolution story, as well as a place to outline using the legacy storytelling method. Now, the legacy storytelling method is what I use to break down each part of your story or a story. You can use them as guideposts, guidelines, and things to really help you outline and think through a story. This works especially well if you don't have someone else to share it with or talk to right in that moment, which makes this a great activity for people to do on their own or with a family member if possible. Especially when you're finished sharing with a family member or a caregiver is a great way to help people fill in gaps and find things they didn't think about. So let's talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions from a weekly prompt perspective. So for New Year's resolutions, we do follow the legacy storytelling method, but think about if you have New Year's resolutions, maybe why you do, why you don't. Do you historically follow through on them? Is it something that you learned from your parents? Did you always have New Year's resolutions? Did you do them as a child? I know as a kid, we were encouraged to set them in school. I always felt like the follow through wasn't there. They didn't ask us in like September how our New Year's resolutions went. So I feel like we weren't always set up for success in that regard. But whatever. So from a story example perspective, I think we'll actually go along that route. So I learned about resolutions as a kid. They always talked about them in school. It wasn't necessarily something my parents did. I don't remember them doing that very much, or it wasn't something we actively talked about. But I really fell in love with setting goals, not necessarily ones that I would do in a month or in like 2 months, but ones that would help me make decisions, everyday decisions, to actually reach those goals. So now as an adult, when I set a goal or I say like write something down that I'm going to do something, it happens, which is super awesome. I've made kind of a career out of being able to do that and helping other people do those things. So that's been a really neat way for me to use this idea of New Year's resolutions and extend it really into a lifestyle. I think New Year's resolutions as a whole are super fun. I think they're really great for a lot of people, but not always the most helpful thing for everyone because we tend to set them, sometimes forget them, and don't actually follow through. And we don't often have someone who's like, hey, how'd your New Year's resolution go? So if that's not the case for you, share it. I want to hear about it, and tell that story. So that is our prompt for the week. If you haven't yet, of course, grab those journals and share your story with me. Post it in the comments. Throw something in my DMs, find me on Instagram. The Legacy Recorder is literally everywhere. So until I see you on the next video, have an incredibly wonderful day. And as always, happy writing.